There are millions of people in the U.S. living out of cars, vans, and RVs, and it's getting really hot out here this time of year. So today I wanted to give you my best strategies for navigating living out of a vehicle in the summer heat. I'm speaking as someone who lived out of a Subaru Outback for nearly 5 years, and I've also car camped for several decades. I'm going to give you tips that don't require a refrigerator or a cooler. All right, my first tip is to get outside first thing in the morning. Wake up before the sun comes up, go for a nice long walk, lift weights next to your car, do something to get your body moving in the cool of the day before it heats up. My second strategy is to do any cooking that you need to do first thing in the morning. If you need to prep some vegetables for dinner later in the day, go ahead and get all that done in the morning. After you get back from that morning walk, do a little food prep before everything heats up around your vehicle. The third tip obviously is hydration. I mean, that's one everyone knows. Water by itself isn't going to be enough if you're starting to experience signs of dehydration, signs of heat exhaustion. With electrolytes in my water, any electrolytes that are high quality, adding that to your water is really going to help you navigate the heat during the summer. And make sure you're literally drinking a full gallon of water per day. I always do that. It helps my body handle the heat so much better. Get Reflectix for your window. I know you can buy pre-made window covers for your vehicle right now online, and if you want to do that, that's great. I have cut this Reflectix 5 years ago. This is the back window one for my Subaru, and it still works perfectly today. I do have Velcro. It's a double-sided Velcro, one piece here, one piece on the window, and that has stuck throughout all of this time as well. Reflectix is going to help insulate the inside of the car to keep the cool in, and it's going to help push the heat and the sun away from the car. My fifth tip is to have a fan, and I know that probably seems obvious, but I'm going to tell you a way to use it that might not be what you're thinking of already. It feels great to have a fan blowing cold air on us, but it can be much more effective in the summer to actually set the fan up towards a window that's partially open and be blowing the hot air out of the vehicle and outside. If you can manage to have 2 small fans in your vehicle, that's even better. One could be blowing colds towards you, and the other one could be blowing the hot air outside. Now, of course, this requires having some sort of electric generator. I bought 1,000 watts, and I don't need all of that. You could buy a very small electric generator in order to run your fan. But they also have rechargeable fans, so you could get a rechargeable fan that you're plugging in when you're somewhere indoors during the day, maybe a library or a coffee shop. I've also run this off of a power bank, a small power bank like I use to charge my phone, so that is an option as well. I do have screen covers for my windows. You can also buy these online, and it's simply a mesh fabric that goes over both sides of your windows, and it covers the entire window. I have 2 of them for the back windows, and it allows me to get airflow going while not having bugs come in, and they're also darker, so it's less obvious that the window is open. My 7th tip is to put cold water on a bandana and put it around your neck. It could also be a buff. Doesn't have to be ice cold water. Honestly, I just ran this under regular cool water before I started filming this for you, and it's keeping me nice and cool while we speak. I could also press that cool bandana on my pulse points, inside my elbows, the backs of my knees, my lower back. Those are just very specific points in the body that if you cool them, it suddenly starts to cool the body rapidly. My 8th tip is around fabrics that you use and the clothing that you wear. So I recommend light colored clothing like this white shirt that I'm wearing, as well as loose fitting clothing. This is a larger size for me intentionally, so loose fitting clothing on the top and bottom, as well as light colored clothing, and then making sure those fabrics are more breathable. I prefer natural fabrics like cotton or linen or bamboo. I believe this is bamboo. And then your bedding as well, and all of these things you can find at thrift stores. You don't have to buy brand new things. Now, if you do have a cooler or refrigerator, just as a side note, or if you have a small cooler that where you keep cold drinks, sticking that shirt that you're going to be wearing in that cooler for a little bit and wrapping it around those cold drinks, and then later in the day when I'm super hot, pulling that shirt out and putting it over my body feels absolutely amazing. My 9th tip is to avoid alcohol and to know the signs of heat exhaustion. This is not medical advice, but simply to know that drinking alcohol is actually going to make you feel worse in the heat, not better. It sounds great to have a cold beer, but it's honestly not going to support your body in cooling itself. Consider a cold seltzer, ginger beer, something that doesn't have alcohol in it is going to support your body better in cooling you. And along those same lines, knowing the signs of heat exhaustion, knowing if you're feeling dizzy. Heat exhaustion can feel sort of like anxiety. So you think maybe you're having a panic attack, and to know that if you are suddenly experiencing that, to prioritize above all else getting yourself into some shade, getting yourself something cold to drink, just walking into a cool building, doing whatever you need to do to get yourself cooled off really, really quick. All right, these next 2 tips, 10 and 11, kind of relate to each other, and they're more about where you're camped. So thermal lag. where the shade is now versus where it's going to be in 2 hours. So let's say you arrive somewhere to park up for a little bit, to hang out or to camp for a while, to set up to cook some food. And right when you arrive, you're not that hot, right? Immediately your car is already cool. You've been driving, your body's feeling pretty good. Maybe you haven't been in the heat, but in an hour or two, you're going to start to feel hot being in that space. So when you pick where to park your vehicle, park it where the shade is going to be in an hour, maybe not where the shade is right now. And along those same lines, the 11th tip is around higher elevation. I realize not everyone has this option or this access, but if you do, if you're someone that is similar to me and you tend to camp somewhere between the desert and the mountains, and that's where you spend your times, especially in the Western U.S., or even today I'm in the Sonoran Desert and it's supposed to be 107. And so rather than just staying here and trying to navigate the heat, I'm going to drive up several thousand feet in elevation and go up into the mountains, and I'll drop the temperature by 10 to 20 degrees simply by going to higher elevations. Now, if you're not someone who's in the desert or the mountains and you're someone hanging out in the city, then this 12th tip is going to help you, and that's to understand microclimates and to understand that in the city, being surrounded by concrete is going to make things much more hot for you. So if you can know where there are parks or water areas, lakes in the city that you're hanging out in, and spend more time near those microclimates, it's going to also cool things down for you. And you're also just going to have access to that cold water to maybe go stick your feet in, splash it on yourself, or if you're really lucky, get in if it's a lake or a river. But just knowing where the microclimates are within the city can go a long way towards helping you have a cooler experience if your car camped or in your van or RV. My strategy number 13 involves helping you sleep. Before you go to bed, if you pour some cold water over your head, honestly, it doesn't even have to be super cold water, and it does two things. First of all, it prepares you for the next day, because if you're like me, I twist my hair up on top. If you're a person who has long hair, primarily for the summer, cools you off while you're sleeping for probably 2 to 3 hours. All right, my final tip for you today, my final strategy is probably the most important one to me, and that is to be having something you're working towards to support your mental health while you're living out of your vehicle. Because if what you're doing is working a 9-to-5 job and then you're coming back to just hang out in your car and pass the time until you go back to your job again, it's a really fast way to start to have your mental health deteriorate, at least in my experience. You start to feel kind of low about your life if you're just working and living in your car, and the heat really gets you down even more. So my last strategy for you is to have something you're working towards. Have a goal. That could be a business idea if you've been wanting to develop, or a creative project, and that would get you just motivated to think about something else other than, oh my gosh, here I am stuck in my car all the time. You're getting excited about the ideas you're generating, or maybe you're working towards an adventure you've been wanting to do, a thru hike or a travel experience, or maybe a 5K or a marathon. Any kind of a goal that you can work towards, or service work, some volunteering in your community. Anything that you can be doing that can give your life purpose will help you to feel a boost and more, I don't like the word motivated as much because motivation comes and goes, but just more focused on moving your life forward. And it gets you going to coffee shops or libraries and into cooler spaces, or if you're volunteering at a local nonprofit, that would also be a cool space maybe to be working in. If it's a fitness goal, then you're going to a gym maybe during the day and you're hanging out in air conditioning there. But just having something to be working towards is massive. And if that is you and you're someone who's thinking, I would love to have a goal, something that I'm working towards, but I do that and then I don't follow through. So what's the point? I'm never gonna finish what I start. I don't trust myself to do it. I invite you to drop into the video description and sign up for one thing. It's a note that I send out every Sunday evening, free, from me to you. And the purpose is really to help you rebuild your self-trust and to follow through on the things that matter to you, help you keep moving your life forward, helping you reach those goals, helping you set a focus for your life and then actually make it happen. So if that's something that you've been wanting to do, then drop into the video description, look for one thing. Other than that, let me know in the comments one of the strategies that I shared with you today you are going to incorporate into your summer car camping or your summer road life experiences, the one that really helped you the most. Or if you have one that I did not share that you would love to share with the community in the comments, please share that, because I know it will help other people as well. All right, I'm sending you so much love as always. Have a beautiful day.
But don't give up, just hold on tight, it'll be alright.